Okay, when you're ready, Isabel.
This is my MPX10 presentation of learning. My name is Isabella. My alias is Indiana Jones. And my first semester at Mid-Pack is my first big adventure. In my adventure, I must retrieve the crystal skull to prove that I am worthy. In order for me to find the skull, I must get 5 small artifacts that will reveal the path to the crystal skull. My first adventure was the humanities roleplay. In the humanities roleplays, we divided into teams, and each team was to put themselves into the shoes of a certain group in history and argue a point from that historical group's interests. I learned better ways to collaborate with my peers during this adventure. At first, I was simply delegating work onto others, but I learned how to communicate with them and figure out what everyone would be capable of and comfortable doing. I was successful in collaborating with my compatriots in a positive way to complete assignments. At first, it was difficult for me to talk out problems with my classmates and figure out how to delegate work. I need to improve on working with my teammates in a way that is positive. I have difficulty relating to my peers when I'm working on projects, and I think this is something that I will always have to work on. With this artifact complete, it demonstrates how I collaborated with my classmates and did it in a manner where it benefited everyone. During this adventure, I learned how to collaborate with and positively impact peers. My second adventure was the Wood Podcast. During this adventure, each group was to research the science of wood and convey our findings by means of an interesting subject. Using the skills from my previous artifact, I was able to work with the group more effectively. During this adventure, I learned how to monitor my progress when I'm working on things that I have a certain amount of independence on. I was successful in communicating my learning to others by way of our formal podcast and from discussing my findings with my classmates and teachers informally. Combining the science and the art in a way that engaged and informed was challenging. While I succeeded overall in communicating my learning and keeping track of my progress, I feel that I wasn't as effective or efficient as I could have been. I need to improve on monitoring my progress. I have the tendency to lose concentration and work or not work without really keeping track of how I'm doing. With this adventure complete, I learned an artifact demonstrating my learning because it shows how I maintained the quality and quantity of my work while keeping myself progressing steadily. Through this adventure, I learned to self-assess and monitor my own progress and understanding and communicate the quality of my learning to others, formally and informally. My third challenge was a major turning point for me because it was when I realized that I was succeeding and I could actually accomplish my goal in this adventure. The third challenge was the pencil box project. Each group was to choose a teacher and build a pencil box according to the requirements of that teacher. During this adventure, I learned how to recognize problems as they occurred and apply solutions that were creative and outside the box. I was successful in applying creative and imaginative ideas to solve the problems that came up when we were working on the pencil box. For example, we wanted to incorporate drawers, and in order to do that, we had to figure out how to create space around the drawers so that they wouldn't get stuck. What challenged me most was figuring out the precise measurements for the box. There were many different components that we had to measure out beforehand, and that required an accuracy that was difficult for me to achieve. I need to improve on the type of solutions I created. In the future, I need to blend functional and imaginative solutions to make the product fun and useful. With this third challenge complete, I earned the artifact of the pencil box, which demonstrates my learning because it is evidence of the success of my solutions. Through this challenge, it taught me to apply creativity and imagination to problem solving. My fourth challenge was the Native American project. In this challenge, we created an art collage that answered an essential question we created about the Native American people and the American dream. The Native American poster tempted me to stop trying, However, I stuck with it through the difficulties and continued to turn myself into a hard-working person, willing to accept and change my shortcomings. During this adventure, I had to learn how to operate Photoshop and utilize the tools to create a cohesive artistic and digital presentation. I was successful in creating a written work that built on the original ideas behind the artistic digital poster. I was also successful in completing a visually pleasing presentation using skills that I learned specifically for this project. It was difficult to find images that would represent the ideas that I was trying to communicate. I need to improve on how I communicated my work verbally. When doing the presentation to the parents, I knew the information, but at times it was difficult to recall details or even general ideas, so my presentation was confusing. With this fourth adventure complete, I earned the artifact of the Native American poster. The poster was a demonstration of how I learned to create an artistic digital presentation, visually present my findings on the subject, and write a cohesive work expanding on the basis of my project. Through this adventure, I learned how to communicate effectively using multiple mediums: spoken, written, artistic, and digital. My fifth small adventure was the zoo banner. For the zoo banner project, each group picked a topic and made a banner to inform the general public about it and urged them to take action. As I collaborated with my team, I noticed a foe materializing. I battled the urge to quit when it got hard and to not give it my all. Me and this lazy version of myself fought, and I won. During this adventure, I learned how to select information that would build awareness and make people feel like they need to do something about the problems. I was successful in building awareness in the parents that viewed my banner during the project sharing. It was difficult to format the information in a way that made the viewer aware of the problem and made them empathetic. I need to improve on how I build awareness. I am not tech savvy, and the best way to alert people to issues nowadays is through technology. With this final artifact earned, it demonstrates the product of my efforts to combine information that would raise awareness, but also information that would make people emotional about the topic of our poster. By earning this artifact, I learned how to build social emotional awareness and empathy in an increasingly interconnected world. In order to find the crystal skull, I put together all 5 artifacts that I had earned. I looked over them and studied them for clues about where it could be. No matter how I arranged them or looked at them, I could find no clues. Looking back on the semester, I tried to think if there were any other clues I could decode. Then I noticed something. For every artifact I acquired, I learned a connected lesson. Maybe if I put together the lessons instead of the physical artifacts, I could discover the way to the crystal skull. As I compiled the lessons, something clicked and gave way. A bright light appeared in front of me, and a door creaked open, revealing the crystal skull. I reached for it to take it, but my fingers went through it. A mirror appeared in its stead, and all I could see was me. I reached out to touch it, and the image turned into pictures of the things I had achieved throughout the semester. It was not the skull that would prove me worthy, but rather my accomplishments. With the adventure at a close and the semester over, I look back at my first time at Mid-Pacific. The processes I went through to find the artifacts and ultimately become worthy taught me many lessons, which I'll refer back to on my adventures to come. Thank you.
Yeah, that was good.
Should have had her go tomorrow.
I don't think anyone wants to go after.
Stay there. Stay there. Stay there. Any questions or comments for Isabella? I liked how you
It's not fair.
address the 3 parts per artifact: the challenges, success, and improvements.
I didn't even do that.
Clearly laid out.
Go, Mr. Dad, go.
Yeah. And no questions or comments? You, yes.
I just kind of question all like the story. Like,
how, like, I guess your story connects to your learner profile?
I think.
Don't do it like that.
No,
No,
you,
like, I just didn't understand it.
I had to complete 5 smaller adventures to figure out how to get to the Crystal Skull, which was my overall goal. And for each adventure that I completed in this school semester, I learned a connected profile.
She answers your questions like it's nothing.
so she, rather than having 2 stories and creating an analogy between the 2, she decided to be the story, I guess, right? Yeah. Kanoa did the same thing in his presentation. Yeah. I mean, either method is fine. Yeah. I got it off the camera. More for them. Yeah. Okay.